I've had quite a few comments on my channel recently, some good, some bad, and some angry. I've put together a group of them that I think will help people involved in the disability process, both to know what to do and what not to do. Hello, I'm John Foster. I'm a medical doctor who does Social Security disability exams, and as usual, everything I say reflects my own opinions based on my own experience and study, and not the opinions of the Social Security Administration or any other medical body. Now, the first comment is a good one. The person asked, can anxiety qualify for disability? And the answer is absolutely, if it's severe enough and limits the ability to work enough. If you go to Social Security's listing of impairments, there's an entire listing for psychological problems, and it includes just about every mental illness. When I go through the work-related abilities Social Security considers important, you'll see that quite a few of them are related to psychological factors. The ability to see, hear, sit, stand, walk, lift, carry, and handle objects are all physical abilities, but the ability to travel, understand, remember, concentrate, persist, interact socially, and adapt all require normal psychology and can be severely limited with severe mental illness. The second comment was not helpful, and this is one I get a lot. The person alleges that they know someone who's receiving disability benefits who isn't really disabled. I replied to the person giving them the contact information for the Office of the Inspector General, who's the person that disability fraud should be reported to, and they didn't report. And in fact, I've frequently got this comment, and nobody has ever reported to the Office of Inspector General. So from now on, if somebody makes such an allegation and doesn't do anything about it, I'm going to hide them from the channel because they're not being helpful. Next, I had a very angry, foul-mouthed comment by a person who claimed to have 31 different disabling conditions and had actually gone as far as a hearing at administrative law court, and the judge had turned them down for disability benefits. Two things to learn from this. Number one, being obnoxious and rude won't help your disability application. I've said many times you don't have to kiss the doctors or the judges behind, but being deliberately rude and obnoxious is guaranteed to hurt your chances of being approved. Number two, make sure your story is credible. The notion that a person has 31 separate disabling medical conditions is simply ridiculous. Even the most severely ill patients I've seen in the intensive care unit and the most severely injured patients I've had delivered to me by helicopter when I worked in a trauma center didn't have 31 separate problems. The most actual physical problems I've seen doing disability exams is 7. And as I've stated in a previous video, the most psychological problems that a person can have is generally 3. I have seen a person who claimed to have 26 disabling problems, and they were obviously pretending. And I've had a person who told me they had 12 different mental health problems, and they'd been poorly misdiagnosed. So make sure that your story is believable. The next comment is frustrating for me because I've addressed it many times, but I need to address it again. People ask, I have condition X, can I get approved for disability? The fact is, in most circumstances, it's not your diagnosis that gets you approved. It's your work-related limitations. If you do want to apply for disability, I would suggest that you sit down with a pencil and piece of paper and write down all the ways your medical problems, physical and psychological, interfere with your ability to work. That will really help your application. Here's some things that likely will not qualify. Problems with one limb, either one arm or one leg. Hard of hearing, not deafness, but hard of hearing alone. Blindness in one eye alone. Pain alone, no matter how excruciating you say it is. Pain that limits your ability to work can qualify, but you must be able to explain how the pain limits your ability to work. A good comment I had was somebody asking if polycystic kidney disease could qualify, and the answer is it will if it's severe enough. Polycystic kidney disease is an inherited disease where in adulthood the kidneys gradually fail and often hurt quite severely. If you have polycystic kidney disease and you've had kidney failure and you're receiving dialysis, you will qualify. Likely, similarly, if you've had a kidney transplant, you will qualify for at least 12 months. If you don't meet either of those criteria, but you have serious medical problems related to poor kidney function that limit your ability to work, and or your pain severely limits your ability to work, you will qualify as well. The next issue is kind of distressing for me, and that's hypochondriasis and overtreatment. People who are hypochondriacs, who believe they're ill when they're not actually, often fall victim to misguided but well-meaning treatment by doctors. That can include overprescription of medication and performance of unnecessary surgeries. I recently had a hypochondriacal disability patient who was on 22 different medicines, and I thought they needed one or maybe two of them. The rest were just making them feel bad. A general rule in medicine is to prescribe as few medications as possible. Another issue I see frequently is people who tell me they've had surgery for pain and it didn't help. Surgery for pain alone is fraught with problems. Sometimes it works. I have a friend who had quite severe back pain that limited his ability to move about, had back surgery, completely relieved his pain, and after the surgery he's gotten in the Guinness Book of World Records twice for athletic feats that he could not have done with the back pain. But if a doctor is telling you that you need surgery to relieve pain alone, my best advice is to get a second opinion. The next comment is in a related field, and this was a very angry comment from a mother complaining that her daughter had not been approved for disability despite multiple applications. And her daughter had scoliosis, a disease of curvature of the spine, had had multiple operations that had cost a lot of money, and now had long metal rods in her spine and 26 screws. And this illustrates a common problem, a misconception that I see. Number one, disability is not dependent on the number of operations or the cost of medical treatments that you've had. It depends on your medical condition now and how your medical condition limits your ability to work. Likewise, disability is not approved based on the amount of what doctors call orthopedic hardware in your body. That's plates, rods, screws, and artificial joints that orthopedic surgeons have put in you. In fact, most people who have orthopedic surgery that involves the insertion of hardware wind up in pretty good shape. Not all, and in particular people who have infection of the bone around their hardware. I've seen those folks for disability. Infection of the bone is a terrible problem that orthopedic surgeons dread and often cannot be cured. The woman went on to say that her daughter had chronic pain and an inturned foot, and I think that gets to the heart of the matter. Pain and an inturned foot will not qualify for disability. Those aren't severe enough work-related limitations. The next comment was also regarding the spine. The person wondered if spinal compressions will qualify for disability. I meant compression fractures. Spinal compression fractures are when the body of the vertebrae is squashed, like when you step on a tin can. And because of the mechanics of the spine, this almost always happens in the front. And the answer is, usually they will not qualify for disability. The reason is, number one, they often cause very few symptoms. Quite frequently, there's no pain at all, even though the person has a broken bone in their spine. And if they do cause pain, they will usually heal up and the pain go away in weeks to months. They rarely cause any severe, persistent problems with the spine that limits the ability to work. Finally, a person asked me if I could comment on how the results of the recent election will affect the disability process. And a long time ago, I learned that you should not ask a doctor for legal advice, and you should not ask your attorney to remove your appendix. I have some knowledge of medicine, but very limited knowledge of law and politics. And if I started commenting on law or politics, undoubtedly I would give bad, wrong information. So I'm going to stick to medicine alone. Well, I hope this has been helpful, and as always, remember, if it happens, it's possible.